Welcome to the halls of murder with this painting.
Welcome miniature fans! Today we're painting the Pit Devil from Wizkids games. So this is the miniature. Absolutely looks fantastic in the box so far. Nice detail. And we're going to paint it up with some nice reds and some nice tones. Very simple miniature to paint today. So what I'm going to do is get him out of the box and we'll take a closer look. So here's the miniature. It's very nice. Very nice. What I was surprised about with this miniature is it came with a tiny little 50mm base. I'd have thought it would have been a 75 or at least a 100mm base, but we're talking quite a small little base for this one, which is fine. What I'm going to do is I shall stick that to the base with some super glue. I'm going to add some sandy gravel to the base using some PVA glue, and then we'll start the painting process. Now today we'll be using reds and blacks, and we'll probably go for a lighter red for the chest, so it should be a very fast and simple paint for you beginners out there. Okay, so my little basin has been done. It looks fantastic. Just a little bit of sand around that base, and that finishes it off perfectly well, and that'll look fantastic once that miniature is finished. So the paints we're using today, we're going for sky grey, and the sky grey is what I'm going to use to cover my base. We've got our white and we've got our black. These will be used to add to shade and lighten our colours. We have a light red and a dark red by Vallejo. Now the dark red will be our primary colour for the whole of the miniature, so we're going to cover the whole miniature in the dark red first, and then lastly we've got a black ink wash by Games Workshop, none oil, and that'll be our ink wash for today's miniature. So I'll come back and have this all primed up with the dark red and the grey at the bottom. Okay, so our primer coats are all dry now. We've got our grey and our dark red, and what I'm going to do now is go over the whole miniature with my black ink wash. Very simple. I've got some cotton buds here which I can take away any excess ink wash. So let's get this covered in ink. Got a large ink brush by Games Workshop. Let's get some more ink onto the miniature faster. Just let all that ink go into all the recesses of the mini, and what we do is we use that cotton bud to take away any pooling of the ink. The ink wash is also a great way to bring out the details, which makes it easier to paint a little later on. Let's go over the wings. Like I say, we use those cotton buds to pick up any excess ink. Very simple. And to give you an example, we've got some ink building up here, so we just go over with our cotton bud and get rid of that excess. And we do that to the whole miniature. Like on the back of the wings here, the ink is pooling at the bottom of the wings, so we just use that cotton bud to take away the excess from these wings. And you just keep an eye on it while it slowly dries, because the ink will still keep pooling, and you should end up with a nicely shaded miniature. So the mini's starting to look awesome already. All the ink wash is dried now, and as you can see, it's all gone nicely into all the recesses of the miniature. Now we're using the lighter red by the lacquer, and I'm going to dry brush that onto the highest areas. So I'm using just a medium-sized dry brush, putting it on my tissue. This is kitchen towel, and I'm just taking it off, and then I'm going straight over all those muscles on the miniature. And we just go over all the highest areas, and this just brings out a little bit more detail on the whole mini. Very simply done, just highlighting each of the areas. We'll go over that face as well. We'll pick the teeth out with that white later on. As you can see, it's given a nice lovely effect now going around the chest. So we'll go a bit more. What I'll do is I'll carry on with my dry brushing all the way around, and then I'll go on to my second stage of dry brushing where I add some white into that red just to pick out a little bit more. So we'll come back once I get to that stage. Okay, that's all that first dry brushing. Now for the final highlight on these muscles, what I'm doing is I'm using the same red, and I'm going to put some of that just here on my tissue, and I'm going to add a little bit of the white and mix that in. I just want more of a pinky colour, and this will be the final highlight on those chest muscles and the stomach muscles of this miniature. So I'm taking the pink back off, going into a nice pinker colour, and we'll just go over those muscles with our dry brush. We're going to work a little bit around the face as well. There we are. Just like so. Now I'm going to add a tiny bit more white into that pink, make it a little bit more lighter, and this will be the final highlight, and that will just go on the top. Take that off. There we go. Just on the highest areas, like a light source shining down. There we are. Awesome. All I'm going to do now is I am going to paint the horns and the fingernails and all the horns over the body in the black, and then we'll come back and then we'll almost be finished. Okay, we've nearly finished this miniature now. All we need to do is go over the black areas with a lighter tone just to bring out some of the details on those horns. I've added the white for the teeth, and I added some white for the eyes, and I've gone over the eyes with a yellow ink wash, and I went over with this contrast yellow by Games Workshop. Okay, so let's show you how I do the horns, because with the black it's quite hard to make a colour show out and highlight. So what we do, we just add some black to my tissue here, and what I'm going to do is add some white to that and mix that in to get a very, very dark grey colour. Take the paint off, and all we do is we highlight the edges of each one of the horns. This will bring out the highest areas, and you'll see all the detail pop on each of the horns and claws. Let me get a bit closer for you. And we do this over all the black areas, and this will just highlight, as you can see the nice lines going across now, and that's perfect. And that's all we do. So I'll come back and I'll show you the finished miniature. So here is our finished Pit Devil. Absolutely beautiful miniature. I really enjoyed painting this one. Really fast and easy paint. Let's go through what we did today again. All I've done, I went through a grey base coat for the base, and we went for that darker red for the actual primer for the body, and then we went over the whole miniature with a black ink wash, followed by dry brushing with lighter red, and then we added some white to that red to give that chest colours, and then we added a little bit more white to give that light source reflecting off the top of the chest and the top of the head. Then all we've done is we've gone over the black areas with our black, and we used black with a light hint of white into the black to give it a very dark grey, and that went and dry brushed over all the horns and the claws. And the eyes I just did white, added a little bit of ink wash of yellow ink wash, and that's it. That's our Pit Devil. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoy what I'm doing, then please hit that sub button. If you want to support the channel, then please become a patron. All patrons are added to the end credits of all my videos. I am now doing a live stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturdays. So if you want to talk to me while I'm painting, or you want me to answer any of your questions, then please join my Twitch channel. The links are below. So until next time.
Clean your paintbrushes, prime your models, and join more